All right, let's go to Brandon in Columbus, Ohio. What's up, Brandon?
Hey, Dr. John, how you doing?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I am doing really well today.
Excellent, man. So what's up, man? How can I help?
Yeah, so I will do a lot of moving pieces, so I'll try to keep this laser focused, but
Cool, and make sure you're talking to your phone.
so okay. Can you hear me good?
Yeah.
So grew up, my mom was pretty intense alcoholic, and she about 7 or 8 years ago, got sober, thankfully, and was doing really well. And then just this year has kind of relapsed, and some added medication addictions and just some pretty crappy stuff. And then has been in and out of the hospital a bunch since January. And there's a couple like serotonin overdoses and certain stuff like that. She's kind of had some suicidal language in there.
Okay.
And it's been a week in a psychiatric hospital.
She's struggling, huh?
Yeah, just struggling. So I'm like wondering, half what's my responsibility, half like I just don't know what to do. I feel like she has no will. Mm-hmm. And it's just tough. So anything.
What's your relationship like with her?
Not good.
Yeah.
It wasn't good growing up. Well, it was awesome growing up until I became the age where I was like, oh, not everyone's mom drinks this much. So,
Gotcha.
And then it got really bad, and then she got sober, and we kind of reconciled, and it got better. But the last few years hasn't been that good at all.
Yeah, dude, I'm sorry, man.
That's all right. Thanks, man.
How old are you?
I am 25.
Man. So, you know this. I'm just going to say it out loud. There's not a lot of givens in the world. Not a lot of should always be's. But every little boy, you got brothers and sisters?
I have one little Down syndrome brother.
Okay. Yeah, that's even a whole other complication. But every little boy, mm-hmm. One of the givens of the universe should be that you can count on your mom and that you can count on your dad. And they didn't show up, man. I'm sorry. You have a dad in the picture at all?
I do. They've been divorced since I was in like 7th grade.
Okay.
And he's in the picture. He, cares for my brother, here and there. And, he wants the same for my mom as well, even though they're apart. So,
yeah. So it sounds like your mom's got a lot of baggage and trauma of her own she's still wrestling with, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I've tried to have that conversation with her, and intense psychotherapy, and I don't know, it just doesn't land.
So my experience has been there's not a lot of conversation to be had with addicts. There is a lot of connection to be had, but there's not a lot of, oh, okay. Does that make sense? It's not like they're missing a piece of information. Most of the true addicts, like you're talking about your mom, who've been at it a long, long time, they know more than anybody how awful this is. They know more than anybody how badly they want to quit. They know what this, like, you're losing your family. They know, right? I don't know a lot of, I know a few, but I don't know a lot of addicts that can't see it, right? And so that makes those conversations, that makes those learning opportunities hard. Here's the best thing, the couple things I can give you. It sounds like your mom has crossed a new line where now she's using pills, and it's almost as though she's practicing an exit strategy, which often for addicts who've been at it a long time, they just get exhausted. And I don't know that they want to kill themselves as much as they want this thing to stop, right? And so suicide often isn't the problem. Suicide becomes the solution to an exhausted, frustrating, just getting hounded by these ghosts of addiction, right? What ultimately did she say made her contemplate suicide, ended up in a psych ward?
Yeah, she was. I was at work one day, and around lunchtime, I answered the phone, and I could immediately tell that she was, drunk and on other stuff, and just was like, you know, I don't think I can do this anymore.
Yeah.
Your brother loves you. You need to take care of him.
Yep.
All that stuff,
So that's when those conversations, they don't scare me like in a like horror movie kind of way, but that's somebody who's not just playing around, right?
Sure.
That's somebody who's thinking it through, and they're making arrangements, and they're making a plan, right? So since she's been out, has she been clean since she's been out of the psych ward, or she just go right back?
She hasn't. It's nowhere near the way she used to be, but it's been like, I might talk to her once a week, and from what I hear, it seems like she's maybe a couple weeks or a couple days of the week she's under something. Not sure it's every day, but definitely back at it since she's been out. Yeah.
Okay. Do y'all live in the same town?
We live about 30 minutes apart.
Okay. And then real quick, tell me what the situation is with your little brother. Do you have custody of him, or does your dad have custody of him? What's the situation with him?
Yeah, so my mom actually lives with her sister, my aunt, who's just spent her whole life taking care of other people and cares for my brother and along with my dad.
Okay.
So
sounds like a pretty remarkable woman there, huh?
Oh yeah, incredible.
Okay. So there's a couple of short-term and long-term things, okay? Are you a reader?
Mm-hmm. I do. I enjoy reading.
Okay. So there's two books I want you to read. Number one is a book called In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts, and we'll link to it in the show notes. It's by Gabor Mate. It's a new book on, it's not new, but it's one of the most revolutionary books on addiction I've ever read. It's hard to read, but it is remarkable. The second book is a book I read this year that was just astounding, and it's called The Unbroken Brain, A Revolutionary Way of Understanding Addiction. And I'll mispronounce the author's name, but it's Miai, Miai Salavitz, Salavitz. And again, we'll link to that in the show notes as well. It really reframes addiction. It actually walks through the history of addiction, how and why we started calling it a disease, and the medicalization of it. And she reframes it as a learning disorder, as a way a body learns to cope over time. And when we think learning disorder, you think, oh, just stop, or just, it's not that easy. It's still super complex, but here's what's beautiful. We solve diseases by isolating the disease into an isolated room, and we give it medicine, and we give it a plan. And by looking at it as a learning disorder, really, you reframe learning disorders through active, intense connection, right? So here's the deal: beating up an addict isn't helpful, right? Think of addiction as a connection disorder. It's somebody desperately trying to connect, and they can't for whatever reason. If they were traumatized as a kid and learned that relationships will abuse you, get you hurt, get you killed, then relationships aren't safe. And at the same time, a body has to have relationships, and pills and alcohol can help sometimes. So beating up somebody, yelling at them, trying to give them new information, sending them books, I've just never seen that be successful. An addict has to decide, I'm done with this, and then they have to go get with part of a group, whether that's AA, whether that's a church, whatever that looks like. They have to get with a group of people and learn how to have relationship again, learn how to have safe, vulnerable interactions again. That's why so many people find AA successful. They get to practice relationships together, practice vulnerability together that you can't do when other relationships are going to get you hurt. Some people don't like AA. I think the idea of it is remarkable. So here's the things you can do. Okay, number one is firm compassion. I love you, but here's my boundaries, right? So she can't show up at your house if she's been drinking. If she calls you and she's super drunk, say, hey, Mom, I love you. I told you I can't talk to you when you're super drunk or you're super high. I love talking to you though. So tomorrow I'd love to get together and talk to you. Okay. So give me a call back and gently hang up the phone, right? This is you, compassionate and boundaries. Okay. The second thing is getting on the same page with everybody. When's the last time you went and had just lunch or breakfast with your mom's sister, the one who's taking care of her, your dad, your little brother? Have you ever just gone out and talked to her?
I haven't.
Okay.
No.
So you're 25 now. And so I would tell you, stop looking at this as a little boy, as a teenager. Start looking at this as, at some point, you're going to be responsible for your mom's extended care. At some point, you're going to be responsible for your little brother. And so I'm going to start leveling up. And what leveling up means is I'm going to go out to lunch. I'm going to pay. And I want to take her out to lunch and first and foremost say, thank you so much for taking care of my family. You're a saint. You are a model for me as a young man. I want to learn how and why. Tell me my mom's history. Tell me my dad's history. Tell me what makes my little brother tick. And just listen and learn from her. She sounds like a brilliant, wise, compassionate woman. And this is also going to put everybody on the same page. Probably do the same thing with your dad. And start asking him questions. Does he have a special needs trust for your brother? Does he have a will? Some of these are just 25-year-old man-to-man conversations now, okay?
Yeah.
And what you're doing is you're getting everybody on the same page. And you can let everybody know, hey, here's my boundaries with mom. If she calls me and she's drunk, she calls me, she's hot, I'm just going to tell her I love her, but I'm not going to talk to her when she's this way. I'm going to hang up. If she shows up at my house drunk, she's not going to be welcome inside my house because my wife's here, my kids are here, et cetera, whatever that's going to look like for you. And then here's the number 4, constant reaching out, whether that's text messages. I love, if you listen to the show at all, I love the handwritten letter. Every week, I'm going to sit down. This is for you, but it ends up being for her. Every week, you take 30 minutes or an hour and write her a letter. It could be 1 page, 2 page on notebook paper with the lines on it. And let her know how your week was. Let her know that you miss her. Hope she's doing great. But these letters over time, it will slowly, and I'm talking like a drip, like trying to fill up a swimming pool with a tiny little drip. It's going to slowly reconnect with her. It's going to give her a part of her heart and her mind. This relationship's safe. This relationship's safe. It could also spiral her into shame and all that. That's her situation, not yours. But I want you to look up in 5 years. And what's that? What's 5 times 50? I want her holding 250 letters from her son. They just say pretty much some variation of, this week was a hard week. This was a good week. I met a girl. My marriage is doing good. Whatever your life situation is, we're having a baby. And I want you to know I love you and I hope you're doing well. Right? If you can set up once a week or once every 2 weeks, hey, we're going to meet for breakfast at Cracker Barrel at 9:00. I'm paying. Here's the thing. Sometimes she's going to show up drunk. Sometimes she's not going to show up at all. And it's going to hurt over and over again. But part of this is you healing too. And all you can heal is you, and you heal through connection. So I'm going to keep reaching out. I'm going to keep reaching out. I'm going to keep reaching out. Okay. Don't take it personal when she doesn't show up. Don't take it like, oh, my mom hates me. She doesn't. She's just not well. Right. She's really struggling. And then just know this. I've done this, man. Not with my mom, but I've had relationships with addicts, and it's just heartbreaking. And so you got to take care of yourself, making sure you're eating well, making sure you're taking care of stuff. There's a part of your body and brain and heart that is going to need connection too, dude, because your mom wasn't there for you for a long, long time, right? Can I ask you this? What are your addictive mechanisms? What are your numbing behaviors?
Whew, that's a good question.
You've got them. What are they?
I definitely, I've learned this, especially this year about myself, is my wife is the first one to point it out, which is awesome and not awesome at the same time. But
I was just about to say awesome, not awesome.
Flee from conflict.
Yep.
Is like my middle name. And so what that looks like is just like any hard thing. How can I put every single little thing into my schedule so that I don't have a single second to think about a hard thing.
There you go. And your schedule can become an addiction because it's your heart and mind and brain's way of trying to control everything because you lived in chaos, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing, it will move from your schedule to something else, and it will just expand on you. And so learning how to do relational conflict now, relational conflict in the past got you hurt, right? It got you beat up. It got you set on fire. It got you, your mom took off on you or whatever. That's a cornerstone. It's like air. You got to learn how to do conflict for your marriage, for your kids. And so I can't recommend enough that you go see somebody. Go see him with your wife, right? And she sounds like an awesome, awesome woman, awesome partner for you. Go see somebody and let them know. I grew up in the home of an alcoholic. I grew up in a home with divorce. I grew up with a special needs little brother. I got a lot to unpack, and I got some skills I need to learn. I need to learn conflict. I need to learn what love looks like because I didn't see it growing up. I need to learn how to practice how to have hard conversations because I got a lot of those ahead of me. And then you and your wife are going to have to just understand probably we're going to be taking care of my little brother and have him around a lot, have him a part of the life of your life, whatever that looks like for y'all. But yeah, you're at that 25 age, and that's when things get hard. So I've given you a lot here. I'm not going to recap it all, brother. I want you to know this. I'm grateful for your heart, man. It's a heartbreaking call when a son calls me and says, man, how do I love my mom? And when my mom doesn't even love herself. It's hard, and you just got to keep showing up and got to keep showing up. Listen to this episode. Listen to it with your wife. Y'all come up with a game plan on what this is going to look like for y'all, what boundaries and compassionate boundaries are going to look like, what firm boundaries are going to look like. Take the folks out to dinner that you need to take them out. Get your will, get special needs stuff taken care of. Whew. And you're in it for a long haul, brother. But I wanted you to know there's healing and laughter and joy on the other end of this deal. And I'm proud of you for being willing to do the work. You're awesome, man.